Hello and welcome to the No Balls Podcast. I'm your host, Patrick McDonald, with me co-host Sheldon Kaufman. Today is our second bi-weekly season review, kind of. We're just going to keep tracking how the season's progressing as we go further into the season. I feel like that's pretty simple. Um, it is November 8th currently. This will be going up on the 9th. We're going to talk about specifically what we've seen in the past 2 weeks, but also in general, the season in totality. We're going to specifically focus on teams today that have really caught our eye, and then towards the end, we'll talk about a couple players. So, first, to start, I feel like we kind of have to talk about this team. The 9-0 Cavaliers. How do we feel about the 9-0 Cavaliers? Uh, I'll let you get the floor first, Sheldon.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you've been hearing the song going around about the Cleveland Cavaliers, but they are 9-0, as you just said. They're playing great basketball. Something I really wanted to point out was Evan Mobley, for sure. We kind of talked about in the preseason how for this offense to really start to click, he's going to have to make a huge step. And he has, Patrick. 17.3 points per game so far, 8 rebounds. He's shooting 37% from three, and it's only like 1 to 2 attempts per game, but that's the highest in his career. That's something that we've talked about. We wanted him to see if he could shoot the ball more, and he's also still the defensive menace that he has been. And also Darius Garland. Something that we haven't seen in a while is Donovan Mitchell is getting a lot of help scoring. Darius Garland, 19.8 points per game so far, and he's shooting 46.9% from the three, Pat. Probably the highest that we've seen from Garland in a minute. Just really crazy stuff. And he's also 6.8 assists. Darius Garland's doing his, or Donovan Mitchell's doing his thing as always, 23.8 points per game, shooting it about 40% from the three. Just incredible basketball. And you said it before, earlier off the pod. Kenny Atkinson has this team playing some good defense. How about you talk about some of that, Pat?
Yeah, that last part very important to me because the Cavs have done this in the past years before, right? Last year, I think they went 16-1 at some point between December and January. Right, this Cavs team can get hot, and it's happened before. What I look to see is what's different from before, and Kenny Atkinson's a big part of that. Um, the common concern we've had for Cleveland is the fit between their two bigs and how are you going to work with a less spaced floor. I feel like they nailed this hire, right? You would have thought, hey, maybe you have to work around two really great movement shooters who are really talented with the ball in their hand. Why don't you bring a guy who's worked under Steve Kerr for a ton of his career? And that's what Kenny Atkinson's done. The offense looks really good. They're empowering Mobley as a ball handler a little bit more. I think the 3-point shooting leap, I had seen it, had actually started last season um, later in the year. We just didn't really, it wasn't going to pop because he averaged an attempt a game on 33% at the end of the year. So we weren't going to notice that he did take a step forward towards the end of the year. But Mobley's really improved as a shooter. They're allowing him to do a lot more as a ball handler. And I think it's really helped their offense. Defensively, I've noticed some differences here. Previously, they would kind of play a lot of things straight up. This year, it kind of feels like they switch everything. With Dean Wade playing the three, this has been with Strus injured. I think when Strus comes back, Dean Wade might stay in the starting lineup just because of all the stuff they can do defensively. With Dean Wade guarding point guards, sometimes they're literally because of the superpowers of their big men with Allen and Mobley, who can both switch amazingly for bigs. They're switching everything. And they're still getting rim protection while switching everything, which is something that a lot of switch-heavy teams don't really do. I think it's awesome. How do we feel? Like, I think we both still obviously are going to think this is a great regular season team now. How do we feel about this team if it comes playoff time? Do we think everything's going to be different?
I mean, playoffs is just where stuff intensifies, right? And defense gets even better. we've seen it. I mean, that's just the trend in the NBA. So I think this will continue to happen, and Kenny Atkinson will have this team really primed for the playoffs after, and I expect them to continue this stuff during the regular season as well. We're going to be looking at a really good Cavs team, something that we haven't seen since LeBron was there, for sure.
And that would mean a really good Cavs team because the past couple years they've been pretty solid, but they're looking scary right now, right? And
Yeah,
I think they present a lot of issues for a lot of really good Eastern Conference teams, specifically defensively. Um, it's really good. The next point on Cleveland that I do want to make, um, when it gets to playoff time, how do we feel like it could they could revert kind of to their old ways with the clunkiness of their fit together? How do we feel about this?
I think we will see a couple games where we see the old Evan Mobley come back and their he's facing issues for sure. Uh, Especially when you face some more disciplined teams like the Celtics, um, like the Knicks, like the Pacers. You know, well coached teams that will pick up on assignments and play, even though they won't be maybe not the best defense, they will play fundamentally sound defense. But like I said, I just think that the Cavs they're better coached this year. They have a better team. Everyone's clicking. Everyone's playing to their potential, namely Garland and Mobley. And I think that we will have some clunkiness show up in the playoffs, but it won't be a problem, and they'll end up overcoming it for sure.
If you had to guess right now, where does Cleveland rank in the league in offensive rating?
I'll say sixth.
They rank first,
First.
which
Wow.
to me, we've traditionally thought of this Cavs team as a great defensive team. They look very good offensively now. They look amazing. I think some of this is probably going to regress a little bit. They're running a lot of new actions for Cleveland that maybe aren't so new for the league. I think there's going to be some adjustment to Cleveland's offense. I don't see their defense really regressing much because I think there's barely any, right? Like, there's not going to be much adjustment compared to what they were doing before. Uh, I think there will be a little bit of offensive regression, but I still think they'll be a top 10 offense for the rest of the season just because those two guards, man, they're awesome. Donovan Mitchell, I was thinking the other day,
Yeah.
like, is he the most athletic player in the league? I don't know. Well, maybe that's a uh, viewer
I've been
engagement
seeing,
question.
yeah,
What did you been seeing?
yeah. I'm gonna hold off on that. I'm not gonna get ahead
All
of
right.
myself.
Um, you have any other Cavs things?
No, I mean I think we pretty much touched on all of it. This is probably the most surprising team in the league, though. I would say no one. Did you expect
Yeah.
them to be 9-0 and the best offense in the league?
No, I didn't think
Like,
their offense was going to be good.
yeah.
Uh,
So I mean, this is gonna be a this is gonna be a great year for the Cavs, and it's exciting. It's exciting to see.
I mentioned that I think they'll still be a top 10 offense. They're obviously a top 10 defense. There are four teams in the league that have a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense. Typically, this is what I say top tier contenders are, right? If you had to guess what the other three teams are, what do you think?
Defense and offense.
Yeah, top
Thunder.
Thunder miss it on offense. Thunder have
Give
the
me.
best defensive rating, but they miss it on, yeah.
How about the Timberwolves?
I don't know if they're there for either. It's
Thought they
not
might make it on
Minnesota
defense.
though.
Uh,
They make it on offense.
Celtics,
Um,
Celtics, 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 Celtics.
the Celtics are one of them. They rank seventh in defensive rating and second in offensive rating.
I'm gonna, the Rockets? the Rockets
The
make it at all?
Rockets, yep, that's another
Yeah.
one.
Okay. All right. Um, the Pacers or Nets? Is it crazy? Pacers or Nets? Do any of
I
those
think
two
you're
make it?
overthinking it.
I'm overthinking it.
Yeah, you're overthinking it.
Warriors.
Yeah. So the Cavs, Celtics, Rockets, Warriors, all top 10 offenses and defenses. I wanted to talk about uh not the Celtics, but the Warriors and the Rockets. Um, let's start with Houston because I think I had maybe mentioned it to you for a second. Their defense is it's awesome. Uh, Short sample size, but you know, 108 defensive rating. It's fourth in the league. Net rating, they are fifth in the league currently. This is a great team, but you look at them offensively, they have the second lowest true shooting percentage in the league, yet they are the eighth ranked offense. They don't turn the ball over, third lowest turnover rate. Offensive rebounding, they rank second. This is a team, I think, very similar to uh, maybe some of the prior year Knicks teams, like maybe 21, 23, where they're not necessarily great offensively, but they can play some defense. Have you watched a ton of Houston? How do you feel about Houston?
I haven't watched a ton of Houston, but I will tell you how I feel about them. They're doing all this with Van Fleet having a terrible year, probably career low right now. I mean, it is 8 games into the year, but uh, he's shooting 14% or he's averaging 14 points per game, and he's only shooting 28% from the field or from the 3 point line, which is what he's known for. Jalen Green's having a good year. I know you're not a big fan of Jalen Green, but 22 points per game, shooting 38% from the 3 point line. He's really stepped up. I mean, a lot of it is just him kind of just chucking up shots and getting a lot of shots up. But I mean, obviously it's working a little bit. Albert Sengun is this team like we've talked about. He's really driving this team a lot with his rebounding ability and his scoring ability. He's also been doing. He's getting his rim protecting up a little bit. He's doing good defensively. Like you said, this is a really good defensive team. They have a lot of guys that can score the ball. They don't really have a main guy. You have a lot of guys averaging 10 points per game. But I mean, like you said, I mean, the defense. You got Jabari Smith, Tari Eason, Amin Thompson, Dylan Brooks, Jalen Green. These are all quick guards or wings that are lengthy, tall, and really good at defense. This is a really well put together team, and I didn't really expect them to be this high so far. I'm not gonna lie, but this is looking like a really legit team.
Yeah. Yeah, so for Houston, you mentioned the Van Vliet thing. Van Vliet's been horrible to start the year, and I think that's made the fact that Jalen Green can at least manufacture points like pretty valuable. Even
Yeah,
though like realistically, like you look at his profile, it's the same as last year, right? He'll still get his points, but either way, he's been fine, right? There's more on Jalen Green that I can get into, but the rest of the team is awesome. Specifically, I want to mention a guy. I think I may have mentioned him in the breakout picks, but he wasn't one of my breakout picks. Tari Eason has been pretty awesome for them. Um, he's a big part in their offensive rebounding boost. I think he's taken a step forward as a shooter this season. Tari Eason's a great player. He's also just an amazing defensive player. Um, I mean, Tari Eason, he's going to get some real money on the open market, and there's a good argument that this guy should be a starter uh, on some NBA team in this season. This year, he's got his attempts are up to 4 a game, or that's per
what
36 minutes.
attempts?
His 3 point attempts are up to 2.5 a game at 40%. Tari Eason's been pretty nice. Uh, he's a great player. Um, you look forward for Houston, they're going to have to pay a lot of guys. And we'll talk about struggling teams in a little bit. Like, Houston's going to be a team that is going to have to be in trade conversations going forward because they're going to have to consolidate their roster a little bit because they have Jabari who they're going to have to pay. They have Tariq and they're going to have to pay. Van Vliet they're going to have to bring back. Um, right, like they already paid Sengun and Jalen Green. Right, they're going to consolidate this roster pretty soon. Um, Amen Thompson's been really cool. Reed Shepard, he's had a little bit slower of a start, but he still looks like a pretty fun defensive and shot maker, a defensive player and shot maker. Um, yeah, Rockets are fun. Do you have any other Rockets comments? I just wanted to point out how great they've been.
Yeah. So let's not forget about Steven Adams. He's been hurt for a big part of the chunk of the year, and when he's in there, that offensive rebounding is not going to get hurt at all. It's only going to go up. One of the better rebounders in the league when he's healthy. Really good offensive rebounder. So yeah, I think he's starting to come back, and he's made an impact in the one game he's played. So
Yeah,
just wanted to
I
point that
mean,
out.
and it gives them legit like 48 great center minutes as well. Like
Yeah.
that's a strength to have. Um, and I mentioned them not turning the ball over either. Like Van Vliet, Amen Thompson, Sengun, like these are some great playmakers. Uh, that's that'll get you there. I really like Houston. I think I predicted them as like a 7 or 6 seed.
Yep.
Um, I this defense is gonna be great in the regular season, and I feel like they play really hard. Ime Udoka's a great coach. Yeah, that basically covers what I have on Houston. Golden State. How do we feel about Golden State?
Well, you can't talk about Golden State without talking about how good Buddy Hield has been. I mean, it's insane. We've kind of talked about. I know we talked about like I think when the Sixers lost him that it wasn't that big a deal. He's played his way out of rotation in Indiana. But I mean, I guess when shooters go to Golden State, they turn into their prime selves because he's playing out of his mind right now. Pat, he's averaging 21 points per game, same as Curry, but he's shooting 50% from the 3 point line, and he's taking 5 to 9 shots a game. Like, it's insane. Like you said, they're top 10 in defense. Jonathan Kaminga has been playing out of his mind. He's been playing really
Yeah,
good. I've been seeing stuff about him for most improved player. Andrew Wiggins is averaging 15 points per game. They're getting decent center minutes. Moses Moody has turned out to be really good for them. But yeah, Buddy Hield, I mean, he's been on a burner. It's really been crazy. And Steph Curry as well really hasn't regressed at all. He's averaging 21 points per game, 7 assists. He's at keeping up the shooting numbers, shooting 42% from the 3 point line. Uh, he's averaging 5 rebounds. This is an impressive Warriors team, and they lost. They lost a little bit. I remember a lot of people were wondering what was going to happen when Clay leaves. They've turned out it's not that big of a problem. Even Draymond has been shooting the ball a little bit recently, and Draymond's still looking like the defensive anchor that he's been for years. This is a fun Warriors team, Pat. We're getting reminiscent of Splash Bros again. I mean, honestly, it's and they don't even have to start Buddy Hield. He's doing all this coming off the bench. He started one game and he's averaging 21 points per game. Like, it's ridiculous.
yeah. I mean, Golden State's awesome, man. You'd mentioned Buddy coming off the bench. Another really fun part of this. Do you know how many players they're regularly playing?
I'll say 10 or 11.
They're playing 12
They're
regularly.
playing all
Uh,
12.
yeah, like ridiculous stuff. Steve Kerr's gotten a lot of criticism, right, about
Yes.
Team USA. Whatever, man. You got an all-star caliber roster. You're gonna do something wrong to piss somebody off. Man,
Hey,
he's
and I don't know, real quick, I don't know if you saw the revenge game when the Celtics, I thought they were going to beat the shit out of the Warriors. And yes, Tatum had 32, but I mean, Steve Kerr cooked, man. They won the game. All right, continue.
yeah. You could, all of the stuff about him, right? They fail to develop young players consistently. There's often not a good connection with the young players. We're kind of seeing that still with Jonathan Kaminga, but uh, you know, man, they drafted James Wiseman, man. Like James Wiseman really shouldn't have gone second overall, right? Like if that's the primary source of this narrative, we're doing too much, man. They've run 12 deep. He's had the balls to bench Jonathan Kaminga, and it's worked out, man. And no other team in the league. Memphis is doing a little bit of deep stuff. No other team's running this many players in their rotation actively. Um, I think the leader in minutes per game on this team might be Draymond Green. Um,
Yeah,
nobody's playing a significant amount. Yeah, no one's playing a significant amount of minutes on this Warriors team, and that's kind of what I didn't think was going to happen. I thought, hey, like Curry's gonna have to do a lot on this team. He's gonna be really overtasked. He might get run to the ground. Yeah, we're seeing the opposite of that. This is like we were geared up for a 95-mile-per-hour fastball, and Steve Kerr threw the most disgusting breaking ball of all time. The offense looks great. It's simplified for young players, and Steph Curry and Draymond still do the difficult stuff that guys don't normally coming to the league being able to understand. So great stuff with him. What'd you come to?
yeah. Actually, funny enough, it's Brandon Podzensky who's leading, and then it's Draymond. But yeah, so Draymond and Brayton Pods. Speaking about Pods, what are your thoughts on him so far? He's had a really slow start to the season. He's shooting 18% from 3 point line. This is a guy we talked about putting up 10 shots a game from there.
Yeah,
Are you
I think
worried at all, or
no. I still really like Pods as a basketball player. Beyond just a shooter, I think his
okay?
other skills on the floor are still there, right? It's important. He's had a slow start. I think Buddy Hield's burner has really just been like, hey, like, and Moody as well has really improved as a shooter. Like, we got other guys to run this stuff for, so we're not going to force you the ball when there's obvious
Yeah,
other answers. I think Paz is still a great secondary passer. He's still a pretty solid secondary defender. Great rebounder. He hits catch and shoot shots. Um, I like what's going on with Pods. Uh, their defense as well. I'm not really sure how, um, but their defense is also elite, right? Like I mentioned, it's a top 10 defense. I don't know how. Um, if I look into the numbers here, general, let's see, defense. Uh, I mean, they're running all of these guard players, right? Steph Curry, Pods, Melton, Lindy Waters, Moody, right? They're running all of these guards. Um, it's really good. I don't know how it's working, but it's working. They're top 5 in the league in steals per game, um, top 3 in blocks per game. Uh, kind of running some stuff very similar to OKC, where they're just kind of like, hey, we're small, we're undersized, you're gonna beat us if we let you play one on one. So we're gonna try to make you uh, mishandle your ball control, so you can't play one on one. It's very interesting to start. I'm not really sure if it'll hold up with Golden State, just because uh, I'm maybe not as convinced about some of the guard defenders that they have relative to OKC's. Uh, but I think it'll still be not a horrible defensive unit. And guys also like with playing 12 guys, like everybody's going to be energized. Nobody's getting run to the ground. Uh, that'll really help in the regular season. How do we feel about this in the playoffs?
yeah. You might have to cut down the rotation just a little bit
Yeah.
for sure, just because I I just don't know if you want to like I don't know if you want to be running your Lindy Waterses and your 8, 9, 10 guys when they still have their 6 man of the year out there and their starters. It's definitely gonna be a question. I do think that you see the rotation shrink a little bit, but you still have a bigger group of guys, a deeper rotation for sure. But I do think it shrinks a little bit.
How do we feel about Golden State as a yeah? How do we feel about Golden State as like a potential trade destination? Given that they have all these guys, like if they ship out two of them, they still have 11 guys, right? Like, how do we feel about them as a trade destination? Um,
I mean, yeah. Who? What are some of the big names right now that are going around?
I mean,
Maybe that
uh,
could maybe be shipped there.
basically anybody who becomes available, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, it's a Dexter. I mean, who doesn't want to play for the Warriors with Curry? They have the peep. They have the the team to do it. They have the guys to do it. You have everybody would like a Gary Payton, right? D'Anthony Melton. I don't know if you want to give up, anything too crazy if your team's already depth. But yeah, you can definitely give up some of those guys for a nice role player at the trade deadline for sure.
And contrasting this with some, or not contrasting, but it, putting this with some of the moves they made this offseason, uh, Jonathan Kuminga didn't get extended, right? He was probably the most significant player who didn't get a rookie extension. If he doesn't, right, and he's benched now, he doesn't have a significant role on this team, he could be a really interesting player to like start a
That'd,
superstar trade package.
yeah, that'd be crazy if they gave him up. I just he's having a good. I mean, I know they really just don't know what to do with him, to be honest. But I mean, yeah, if he's on the market, teams will definitely call. I think that's a great that'd be a great trade. Honestly, yeah, I like that. You could get a lot from Kaminga, but it would hurt for sure.
And specifically with Kuminga, I think a lot of teams are going to value him more than Golden State will,
Yeah,
because Golden State like probably can't pay him, right?
yeah,
The re or the way that they could have paid him probably without getting really penalized from luxury tax is getting out of the Melton and Buddy Hield and not bringing back Gary Payton, not bringing back Kevon Looney, right? Like, I don't know
yeah,
if they're going to pick that option now. So maybe for them, like, it is best to try to make this team as good as possible. Move Kaminga because a rebuilding team is going to want Kaminga even if they have to pay him. Uh,
yeah.
yeah, Golden State's really fun.
Great
We didn't
destination. Never mind.
we,
Yeah,
we didn't we didn't touch on Houston in the playoffs. I'm not sure if they're quite good enough offensively to be a real playoff team. Um, Maybe like an Orlando last season is how I kind of feel about them, a 2021 Knicks type of thing. Um, do you any Houston Golden State comments? All right. Do you have any? I'll give you a specific team that you want to talk about here.
do you have teams to go over next?
I have a couple more. Do you have?
Okay, okay. No, no, no. Then I'll go. Um, I don't want you to take this one. So this is kind of like highlighting players and I guess the team. First of all, the West is stacked. The East, I think the fifth seed in the East and lower all have losing records, and the 10th seed in the East or 10th seed in the West, that's the Lakers, are 4-4. So just a little disclaimer there. But yeah, I'm gonna talk about the Timberwolves real quick. They're 5-3. They're sixth in the East. I don't have all the crazy numbers up, but I just want to talk about really Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle. There were a lot of concerns for floor spacing when the trade was made, and first I'll talk about Randle. Then yeah, a lot of concerns with when the trade was made. Just mainly on floor spacing, and Julius Randle came in and just really shut up the haters and shut up the concerns. He's averaging 21.5 points per game, 6 rebounds. He's shooting 43% from the field. And I don't know if you've been watching the games, he's making tough contested shots. He's still getting to his physical bully ball. He's getting fouls. He's getting to the free throw line. And he's been doing good on defense as well. Anthony Edwards, too. This is the year that we've been waiting for. This is the year that everyone's been waiting for, really, especially after the year he had last year. He's averaging 28 points per game, 6 rebounds. He's shooting 46% from the 3 point line, Pat. And guess how many 3 points he's averaging a game? He's attempting. Give me a little
Okay,
range.
well the numbers are right in front of me. Uh,
Okay, well I'll just go ahead and say it then.
yeah,
He's shooting 5 to 11 attempts a game.
yeah, and he's
Five to
averaging
11
11.
Yeah,
It's
he's averaging
crazy.
11 3 pointers a game, and he's shooting 46%. And this is a guy that, you know, we he's not his one weakness was the 3 point shot and just really the jump shot in general, how flat it was. They had weird mechanics. And I don't know if you watch any Timberwolves games. He's also clutch. He's a leader. He's showing that he's a leader. And this could be a legitimate MVP candidate. I don't have him there right now, but I think that as the season goes on, it can be. And there's also the team is playing well behind him. Jaden McDaniels, Neil Alexander Walker is having a great year so far. Mike Conley, he's I thought I had some concerns about him, but he's actually been proven to be a good 3 point shooter when needed. Um, Hold up real quick. Let me pull up. All right, here we are. Okay, well he's shooting 36%, but Neil Alexander Walker has actually been a huge bright spot for them. He's shooting 48. He's averaging 7 points per game, but really anytime they need a big bucket, or not a big bucket, but he always makes a big bucket. It seems like, and he's also really good on defense, as we know. Uh, just this team is really interesting, Pat. This is a team to look for. Dante DiVincenzo really hasn't even shown up for them. He hasn't shown up in the way that I really expected him to. So this Timberwolves team is very interesting to watch. I think they'll be a team that we'll be talking about as a top seed in the future of this season.
Yeah, their offense looks a lot better than it had in previous seasons. Um, honestly, like it's Anthony Edwards, man, right? Like
Yeah,
people loved to push him up for 2 years now. It feels like he's finally doing it. He's
yeah.
for real playing at the level that people have been saying that he has played at for a while when he hasn't, but now he really is. Uh, I don't know where his 3 point shot making came from. He went from an average 3 point shooter to suddenly he is Steph Curry from three. Like he literally is. Like
It's only 8 games though. Still,
yeah,
it's impressive. It really is.
I mean he came out there and he's really proved a lot. Uh, my main concerns with Minnesota right now is their defensive regression. Um, it's probably just low sample size, but it is worth saying Randall looks kind of lost out there sometimes. Um, although I mean I think he's a great change up to whatever they're going to do on offense. You have a guy out there who can make those tough shots. I think that's really important for them. Uh, Minnesota's very interesting. We'll probably see how we feel about them as we get a little bit more sample size with Anthony Edwards as a shooter, because this is crazy right now.
Yeah.
46% on 11 attempts is absurd. Like that's like a top four shooting season all time, maybe behind like three Curry seasons. Um, yeah, Minnesota's. We'll definitely touch more on Minnesota. I want to briefly bring up the other team of the Randall Towns trade. Knicks. They are really good offensively right now, um, but it could be better. As someone who watches basically every Knicks game, they still are struggling to integrate, specifically Towns in the pick and roll game, even though Karl Anthony Towns has been awesome. I think it's more affected the other players around Towns. He's not a great screener, and when he rolls to the rim, which is very rare, it's often like not calculated. In the past, Isaiah Hartenstein's been really good at rolling to the exact right spot. Um, I think it it's shown up in Brunson, Hart, guys like that are struggling to really find Cat in those situations on the roll. And then when he pops out, they're not used to centers popping, right? They've never had that. So Towns is losing a couple 3-point attempts, and I think it's more or less showing up with the efficiency of the team around him. That being said, I think the Knicks are still like fourth in offensive rating this season. Um, and I just think it can be better. Defensively, though, I think they're ranked 20th in defensive rating. Uh, it's some of it is just they're missing their defensive rebounding with Mitchell Robinson, Precious Achua. I think Cat's actually like sneakily stepped up and become a pretty good rebounder, but he's not the rim protector that Achua or Robinson specifically are going to be for this team. Um, and then, yeah, I think right now they just get some guys back healthy and then specifically use Josh Hart as a screener in their starting lineup. And I think they'll be perfectly fine. Uh, any Knicks opinions coming from you? Uh, good
Yeah, I
things or
mean, I think we just like you kind of said, we still have to wait. There's a lot of guys missing from this team. It it looks good offensively. I think they will fit. They will fix the offensive stuff. I'm not too worried about that. I think that eventually, Cat's gonna figure everything out. This whole offense is gonna figure. They're 8 games in with a new team. They didn't get a whole training camp together. I don't believe right. That happened pretty late.
it was they didn't get a whole off season specifically.
Yeah, they didn't get a whole offseason together. Let's just chill out on the Knicks. They're 3-4, but they played some tough teams. Defense is obviously a concern, but you don't have your big defenders in there, like you said, with Achua, Robinson. I will say, however, they probably should put Hook Party over Sims. I think Hook Party should get Sims minute. Is that crazy? As
No,
a Knicks fan, is that a valid take? Because
yeah, that's very valid.
he hasn't been looking bad. Even though it's a very small scene, I don't he doesn't really play too much, but I I, I want to circle him as kind of an interesting figure for them. But yeah, let's just wait till this team gets healthy again. This is another team kind of like the Timberwolves, where let's just wait a little bit before we put a sticker on them. I guess is a way to put it. Jalen Brunson worried me at the beginning. He figured it out though. Miles Bridges a little bit did with the shot, but he's fixed that. It seems like he's shooting 37% from the 3 point line, 50% from the field. So yeah, the main thing is definitely defense, like you said. But let's just wait till this team gets healthy.
Yeah, I agree. Specifically when they get healthy, I think it's best for the team to start Robinson and bench Hart so Cat can play a traditional
Oh
forward
yeah,
role on offense. Um, but I think this should be a perfectly fine team. I have a little bit concerned with depth in the regular season, but I think they'll make it to the playoffs as a top seed now. Um, Solid team right now. Not too much I would be immediately concerned on. Two teams that we should be concerned on. I'm sure you
I think
wrote
I know
down
where you're going.
both of these, both Eastern teams. I think these are. This is why the East is so weak, right? Milwaukee and Philadelphia, right? They have a combined 3 wins with Milwaukee winning last night. Which of these two are you more concerned about?
Great question, Patrick. Because I was going to ask the same thing. I think it's pretty obvious that I'm more concerned about the Bucks. I would say, because it's not
Me
like
too.
Giannis is playing bad or Dame is playing bad. Giannis is an MVP candidate right now. He's averaging 31 points per game, 12.9 rebounds, 5 assists. He's shooting 61% from the field. I mean, this is a great Giannis season that we're witnessing. And Dame's averaging 28 points and 6 assists, and he's shooting 38% from the field. So Dame and Giannis are playing great. What could be the problem? They don't have anyone else. But I think Bobby Portis is the third leading scorer with like 15 points per game. The defense is not there at all. They have no game plan. They have no identity, like Giannis has said. Giannis is pissed off. They're losing Giannis. If Chris Middleton comes back, how big is Chris Middleton? What are the 76ers missing right now? Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is an MVP candidate, right? He's an MVP caliber player. Nowhere, he's not even in the same realm as Chris Middleton. They also had Paul George missing. Paul George comes back. Paul George is looking good. They're way more competitive in games. When they get Embiid back, this 76ers team will be fine. When the Bucks get Middleton back, I really don't know. Honestly, one more thing I want to pull up is the big an addition that they made in the offseason that was looking like it might be good. Gary Trent. Gary Trent has not been shooting up to par like at all. Um, it won't load for me. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hey,
but
Milwaukee. All right.
yeah,
I
go
think
ahead.
my answer as well is Milwaukee. Um, if you had to guess right now where they rank as an offense and a defense, where
I
would
would
you
say
think?
offense top top 15,
No.
top 20,
Yeah,
lower.
they rank 18th in offensive
Yeah.
rating, and
Okay. Defense. I'll go 23rd. Say 23rd.
yeah, so they're 18th in offensive rating, 19th in defensive rating. Um,
Yeah.
Specifically, I do want to say something here. I think Middleton does help them a lot. Uh, Damian Lillard has a plus 14 on off offensive rating. Basically, when Damian Lillard goes to the bench, they get worse by 14 points per 100 possessions on offense. I think Middleton will help a lot with that, with staggering some in the uh, regular season. Um, I don't think he moves the needle with their defense, and honestly, this is the bad defense that we saw from them last season, where even now, like Brook Lopez doesn't look as good in drop defense. They have two clowns running the show with Darvin Ham and Doc Rivers. Like, I'm really concerned for Milwaukee. We're gonna hold off on the honest trade talks until not very long. Until not very
Real
long.
quick, if this team, if this team doesn't have a winning record this year, do you think Giannis forces his way out?
Yeah, 100%. They've won since the championship. I think they've won like 8 playoff games.
Yeah. What do you think the criteria is for Giannis to stay? Like just quickly, like 4 seed and win, or 4 seed and make it, or just make it in general.
Um, I don't think a first round exit would do it for them unless they are really unhealthy until later in the year. They make a run. They're a lower seed and they play like the Celtics or the whoever a huge contender is, and they play them well, but they lose. I think that's the only first round exit scenario
Yeah,
that I could see Giannis staying in.
yeah.
Um,
So in a make or break year, they're not starting off the way they need to.
yeah, if I think if they outright miss, regardless of the injury problems that they have, I I don't think Giannis will be back next year. Um, it's going to be rough for them. Um, Philadelphia, they've had basically no good things happen to them to start the year. Embiid is going to be back in a couple days, Monday or Tuesday, against the Knicks. Um, Maxey goes down a week before that. Um, it's been rough to start the year with Philly. I'm gonna go ahead and make this rule that we'll have throughout the season. Okay? Yeah. Let's avoid talking about Philadelphia.
Oh,
And let me tell you why. They're gonna be missing Maxi for 3 to 4 weeks, right? We're not going to have an accurate conclusion about what this team looks like on a night to night basis until Maxi comes back. That is if Embiid and Paul George stay healthy over the 4 weeks. Then Embiid's going to be sitting out a lot of games. Let's talk about this team when they are healthy going into the playoffs. That's how I feel about Philadelphia right now. Until then, I don't know. There's not much we can like. What
if
are
you
we?
have I
Go
mean,
ahead.
if you have my thing is, if you have a scenario that Maxi's going to miss all this time, and you have an MB that's coming off this injury and is not playing back to backs, and Paul George, who cannot be a number, I don't think he'd be a number one scorer right now at this point in his career. How bad of a start are you at to where you get healthy? Because it could be a situation where you can't make the playoffs.
Hmm.
I mean, I guess it's really hard not to make it because you have it's the 10 seed, but they're 1-6. They're the worst team in the East right now, 1-6, and now you don't have your starting point guard who's averaging 27 points per game, and you're gonna have Kyle Lowry run the show. And I love Kyle Lowry. He's a great point guard, legend. Um, but I mean, he's not. I do not want Kyle Lowry as my starting point guard. I'm sorry, I don't. I don't. Um, so I mean, I guess yeah, I love the rule. I think that all what you're saying is 100% accurate. My only concern is will they be able to, bounce back from the jump? Um,
Hmm.
I think they can. It's just like when you have these aren't like shitty role players. These are important parts of your team that are being injured and being out for multiple parts. I mean, yes, I think Embiid will probably be able to carry, and they will be fine without Maxi. But there's just a little. That's just kind of like my little caution flag on them. Just, but yeah, great rule. I think we should do. I think we should definitely do that.
Yeah, because if we get to the end of the year and Philly's the 11th seed, and we look back at, hey, we talked about Philadelphia for 16 hours this year on what they
Yeah,
could be.
yeah,
I think we're gonna wait until they make it because I'm really concerned. Um,
yeah,
I'm more concerned about Milwaukee, but Philadelphia, like, man, for this to work, Maxi had to be healthy, and now they're
yeah. I didn't
not
even
gonna
know.
have
I didn't
that.
even know about
Um,
Maxi. Yeah.
it happened yesterday, so
Oh, I'm on my social media cleanse for
yeah,
class. Missed
so
that.
yeah, yeah. So for this to work, Maxi had to be healthy,
Um,
and that's already
yeah,
jeopardized.
that's
So now you're gonna
crazy.
have a week
Yeah,
of Paul George running the show, and then Embiid comes back with no Maxi. Paul George is gonna have to play a good bit of games when Embiid's sitting out when Maxi's already hurt, right? Like, is Paul George gonna survive that? Is Paul George also gonna sit out games? Then Embiid's gonna play by himself. I mean, I'm really. They're gonna have such a rough start, and they're gonna have to catch fire. Um,
yeah.
Philadelphia, Milwaukee, we're really concerned there. Um, are there any other specific teams you want to touch on?
You have any before I?
I
Are you
though
done?
we got to my 6 teams that I really wanted to talk about.
Okay, I'm gonna just do kind of like a kind of condensed version of just. I think I only have two two teams I want to highlight.
Okay.
Yeah, nah, a couple. I have a couple. I got a couple teams. All right. We'll start off fun. I'll say the Nets,
All right.
man. Nets are 4-4 and fourth in the East. No one really expected this. Cam Thomas is having a good year. He's shooting 24 points per game. He's shooting 30% or oh yeah, shooting 30% from the field. Um, 40. Dang, I did not know that. But anyways, they're still doing good, and it's a huge part of Dennis Schroeder, man. He's been one of the more surprising guards out of the East. He's averaging 20 points per game, 7 assists, 50% from the field goal line. But it's just really just his 3 point shot. He's shooting damn near 50% from the 3 point line. We've known that he's been a good shooter for a while now. I think he played for Germany in the Euro Cup this year, right? Or not the in the world what the Olympics.
FIBA.
Played for Germany,
Yeah.
FIBA. Yeah, he played for Germany. He looked really good there. And this. I don't know how legit this team is, but right now they're very fun. Cam Johnson is playing really good basketball as well. He's averaging 16 points per game. Nick Claxton, they haven't even gotten a real prime Nick Claxton. Not really doing too much offensively. He's still good on defense. It's just it's a weird team, man. Dennis Schroeder's popping off every night, and Cam Thomas is as well, and they're the backcourt, right? Backcourt.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're the backcourt that's been getting it done. This is kind of a fun team I wanted to highlight and a couple players. Next one is. Do you want to say anything about the Nets? You good?
Yeah. So for them, like they're for me at least, they're really similar offensively to Houston. I really like a lot of the role players on Brooklyn. Cam Thomas, Dennis Schroeder, they make it work offensively. Even if they're not very efficient, right? Like they're gonna get it.
Yeah.
They're gonna get the points up for the team. Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Jalen Wilson, great young role player. They Zaire Williams has looked pretty good to start the year, right? You have all of these things culminating together. Culminating together, you suddenly have a ton of really solid role players. Ben Simmons looks pretty, as good as he's looked in Brooklyn.
They just need to get rid of Finney Smith, man. Pretty good. He's not. I do not like Dorian Finney Smith.
He's like, he's okay.
He's averaging. I mean, he's putting up good numbers, but I'm not a big fan.
He plays. I like Dorian. It's just they've been playing him small ball center sometimes, and it's like you're kind of asking a little much out of him. Uh, I think they're a team of a bunch of really solid role players. They play pretty hard. Jordy Fernandez is looked as a pretty solid coach. He's getting a lot out of these guys. I don't maybe think this is a great individual team that's going to make noise and make the playoffs, but
Yeah.
I think they're going to garner a lot of trade deadline attention with some of these role players that teams are going to really want. So we'll move forward to your next team.
Yeah. So this is a team that you were really high on the off season. I really wasn't, or yeah, I just wasn't as high as you were. But it's the Atlanta Hawks. They're 4-5, which is good enough for fifth in the East. But Trey Young's playing good basketball, man. 23 points per game, 10 assists, averaging a double double, and he's doing it all for shooting. I don't know if it's career low right now, but he's shooting 31%, and that is just not Trey Young numbers, right? It's just not what we expect from him. Uh, but the team has been. He's actually getting help from some big names. One that we talked about in the Hawks episode, Jalen Johnson. He's averaging 18.9 points per game and 10.6 rebounds. He's having a semi-breakout year, or actually, he's having a breakout year right now. Fuck it. Just really good stuff from Jalen Johnson. DeAndre Hunter has actually been looking like a solid number 3 option. 18 points per game, 6 rebounds, and he's shooting 40% from 3 point line. Just stuff that we've been wanting to see is finally happening from him. They're getting help from a big rookie in Zachary Ricochet. He's been doing really good recently. Actually, last night he went off for 33 points, or I don't know if it was last night, but Wednesday he went off for 33 points against your Knicks, Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
And he shot 6 from 10 from the 3 point line. So just some really interesting stuff. Zachary Ricochet is looking like the number 1 pick right now. But to be honest, the Hawks made a really great decision. He's doing good defensively as well. Yeah, I mean, they're getting 12 points per game from a rookie. In a draft class that was considered weak. So
I'll say this here. I think we nailed it, man, with Ricochet. Uh, I think the consensus on him was that like, hey, like this guy's really not that good, and we were like, he actually kind of is, right? We identified the stuff that is really already popped with him as a good role kind of player. His feel for the game's awesome. I really think he's going to be a great passer too in the league. Uh, yeah, I think we were a lot higher on him than consensus was, which was like an all-time low for a number one overall pick. Um,
Yeah,
and then one other player, he's been awesome, man. Dyson Daniels. Uh,
yeah. Dyson Daniels is another one I was going to mention.
this guy, I don't think I've ever seen someone play better one-on-one defense on Jalen Brunson over the past 3 years than Dyson
Yeah, I
Daniels
mean,
did the other night.
yeah,
Dyson Daniels is awesome. Ricochet is awesome. DeAndre Hunter's playing amazing basketball. Jalen Johnson's awesome. It's the Trae Young show with a bunch of really solid role players. I think this is going to be a good Hawks team, and I think I hit the nail on the head.
yeah. You definitely did, Pat. And I think that Trey Young can even play better. I don't even think we're seeing his best basketball, especially from the 3 point line. I mean, he's really
Definitely
shooting. I
not.
mean, he's had some bad efficiency nights. So I mean, when that changes, how much better does this Hawk team get? You know?
Yeah. All right. Next couple teams. If you have a couple more.
Of course I do, Patrick. This is kind of like I was surprised and was not surprised. I was thinking that this game was going to be a lot shittier this year, and they've kind of held it together. So I just want to give some props to the Clippers. Um,
hmm
losing Kawhi was a huge blow, and I know you were not high on the Clippers at all because you kind of expecting this. I was a little bit, and it was really disappointing to see Kawhi hurt and Paul George leaving. But if they weren't in such a stacked conference, this would be really good. This would be we would be talking about this Clippers team a little bit more. They are the 11th seed at 4-4.
Yeah.
You got me.
I Clippers. Yeah,
Yeah,
they have
Clippers.
improved defensively too compared to last
Yeah,
season with Paul George and Kawhi. Now they're actually a better defensive team without those guys, and I didn't expect it. I'm not really sure if it's gonna hold up. We'll definitely come back to it within the next couple weeks if it does.
yeah. Sorry, I think I cut out. But real quick, I just wanted to highlight Norman Powell. He's been a huge reason for it. He's having a career year. He's averaging 25 points per game. He's shooting 48% for the 3 point line. Like you said, is this going to keep up? Maybe not, but it's fun to watch right now. We're seeing James Harden. James Harden is playing really good basketball, and he's making a case as a top point guard in the West. Like seriously, and he's as old as he is. He's legit. He's averaging 20 points per game, 9.4 assists as well. And he's not even shooting the ball well, Patrick. He's shooting 28% from three. Another case of a well-known shooter not shooting well. And Ivak Subak is playing really good center work. Something that I don't think a lot of us expected. He's averaging 17 points per game, and he's averaging 12 rebounds, the double double. They're getting really good play from Derrick Jones and Amir Coffey, Kai Jones as well, Kevin Porter. All these guys are making an impact. It's going to be a rough situation, but I do think the Clippers can actually hold off long enough for Kawhi to come back.
Yeah, I didn't expect this by any means. It's looking great right now. We'll come back to Clippers for sure. All right. How many more teams do you have here?
I mean, that's good. All the other
Clippers.
stuff now is, yeah, all the other stuff now is just some players that I'm gonna highlight in the next section anyway. So
All right. Yeah. Let's quick shout out. Maybe we'll go through the statistics after. Just list off the players that we want to talk about real quick.
oh, all right. We'll go we'll go Cade Cunningham for sure. Um, Cade Cunningham. Hold up, you go first, Pat. I don't got my. Hold up, let me pull up my list.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I think Ricochet was one that I really did want to bring up because he looks like a really good two-way player already in the NBA as a rookie. It's crazy. Uh, I mean, Tari Eason was a guy who I really did want to bring up. We talked about Tari. Um, over OKC, I think a couple of their players have kind of taken a step forward. I think Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren do look visibly better out there on the floor this season. I think that's really important. Um, RJ Barrett, man, I don't know.
Yeah,
Like, I didn't really like. I've seen the hot shooting stretches from RJ Barrett before, um, but he looks a step better as a playmaker, and that wasn't really something that had ever really shown up before. I think RJ Barrett, there could be some truth that he's really taking the next step forward, and his teammate Grady Dick,
yeah, okay.
he looks he's shooting the ball crazy. Uh,
Okay, so you got some of my guys. I'll say Bilal, Koulibaly for sure. Um, and LaMelo Ball. I want to talk about LaMelo Ball a little bit.
okay,
He's off to a really good start. And then yeah, I don't really have all the other. And then we can do my MVP list. We'll do our
all right,
MVP talks.
yeah, we'll do him. We'll, Bilal's looked awesome. He looks like a really good, like it looks like the Wizards hit on that pick. His shot
Yeah.
making's gotten a lot better this year. They're letting him get some primacy. It looks great. Um, hopefully he's
Also,
on the
he's also doing really good defensive stuff as well.
yeah.
So
That was there last year, but like he kept it up
yeah.
with more usage. That's kind of doesn't always happen. Lamelo Ball, I mean, he looks great, man. Uh, he powers that offense. They're what 3-4 right now.
Yeah, they're
Um,
3-5, but
playing
I mean he's been huge.
better than they ever really have.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lamelo Ball looks really good. Um, do you have anything specific on Lamelo?
I mean he's putting up really good numbers, Pat. I mean, that's just really it. He's looking really good from the 3-point line as well. His shot making has been out of this world this year. He's shown ability to do what he does and finish at the rim, in the mid range, and come up in big plays. I was watching the Pistons game last night or the couple nights ago, and he made a really clutch three to go up two or tie it, or go up one or tie it. He's playing the best basketball we've ever seen, coming off the injury. Just incredible stuff. He's averaging 28 points and 6 assists. And he also has that rebounding ability. Just really nice stuff from Lamelo, and this is going to be one of the best years we've seen. And the Hornets they're going to have a case for the East because the East is so open right now, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. It's been a great season to start for Lamelo. We're gonna hope that he stays healthy and keeps up this good play. Um,
Yeah.
that'll get us to MVP ladder for you. I think we'll do this every 2 weeks. Um, the Sheldon Kaufman MVP ladder. What does it look like
Sheldon
8 games
Kaufman.
into the year?
So, first, we got to give it to a pretty. I just don't know how this guy's not going to get. That is Nikola Jokic. Um, first off, to start the season, he's averaging 28 points per game, 11 assists, 13 and a half rebounds. He's shooting really good from the field and 3-point line, and he's really just unstoppable. And this is a Nuggets team that isn't looking really good. We didn't talk about them in this episode. They are 5-3, but this is just not the same Nuggets team. But whenever they're down, and they have been down huge this year, Jokic puts the team on his back and just proves that he is
That guy.
he's the MVP. Yeah. Uh, so next guy I want to talk about. This one's really fun and a really fun player that we've seen this year, and that's Anthony Davis. I'm gonna say that he's my second MVP candidate right now. He's playing out of this world right now, out of his mind right now. 32 points per game. He's at 32 points per game. He's got 11.6 blocks per game. And the really thing that sets him apart from the Jason Tatums, the Shais, the Giannis's, uh, is his defense. It's just really good, Patrick. We've talked about it before, especially last year. Did he win? Or he a lot of people were saying that he should have won over Rudy Gobert, right? Last year.
He was an outside chance, but like
Oh.
I don't know, man. I think he's the
Anyways,
best defender in the league.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. His defense this year is crazy. He's averaging 1.7 blocks and 1.6 steals. Uh, he's rebounding the ball well. He's shooting the ball well, or he's not shooting the ball that well from the 3 point line. But still, I believe that I still have Anthony Davis. Uh, Next guy I'm going to go to is Jason Tatum. We're going to go to Boston with Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum has been playing really good, uh, and this is after he got a lot of flack after winning the championship, and uh, not he didn't win Finals MVP, right? Jaylen Brown won it. Yeah, so that was a big thing, right? He doesn't show up in the playoffs. He didn't show up in the championship. He got benched for Team USA, and he's just come out on a heater, Patrick. He's shooting 30 point. He's averaging 30 points per game. He's shooting 48% from the field, 36% from the 3 point line. He's also doing good stuff, rebounding the ball as well with 7 and 4 assists. You've noticed it. His shot is different. His shot looks better. He's scoring the ball a lot better. The Celtics team is probably the best team in the NBA at 7-1. Uh, he just dropped 32 against the Warriors. This is on a team where they have Jaylen Brown, who's another option. You don't expect to be averaging 30 points per game when you have Jaylen Brown on your team. He's doing it. Next guy I want to go to is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 4. Sorry, 26 points per game. The assist and rebounding is what I really like at 6 assists and 6 rebounds. He's doing both of these things at a high level. And he's also a really good defender, Patrick. His blocks are getting up. He's averaging 1 per game. And he's also good. He's doing good stuff on ball, averaging 1.6 steals per game. He has his Thunder team playing at the top of the conference yet again. And this is, again, he's an MVP candidate in my mind. And the last guy, no, it's not Luka Doncic. It's going to be Giannis Antetokounmpo. Let me pull up my Giannis numbers.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just touch quickly on Shea and Tatum.
Yeah, go ahead.
Shea's looked like he's been a pretty good defensive playmaker for a couple years now. I feels like he's taking a step forward in that aspect. They're running a lot of weird lineups in OKC, a lot of 5 cards. It feels like with Jalen Williams and Alex Caruso playing center, like they're doing fun stuff there, and I think Shea's versatility on the defensive side really plays into that. Um, yeah, he's a really good offensive player as well. And then Tatum, I mean, he heard the argument that he didn't average enough points last year to win MVP, and then he said, "Yeah, here's 31 for y'all," and he's playing really well. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, you ready
All
with
right.
Giannis?
Yeah, I got my Giannis stuff. He's averaging 31 points per game, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 61% from the field. Um, his efficiency field goal percentage is good, 61%. That's when 3 pointers are weighted more. I'm sure you know that, Patrick, right? Yeah, the efficient field goal
Effective field
percentage.
goal.
Effective, yeah, my bad. Effective
Yeah,
field goal percentage. His effective
yes.
field goal percentage is good. Uh, Giannis is a guy that I think that can move up this ladder pretty quickly. It was tough, but I just liked Shea's. I put Shea above Giannis because Shea just does more defensively, and he's more and he can shoot better from the free throw line. And there's some other stuff. I just think he's a tick better than Giannis right now. But yeah, that's my MVP ladder: Jokic, Davis, Tatum, Shai, and Giannis.
All right. So this was a good episode. I really like that ladder too. I feel like that's about how I would have it if I had taken the time to make my own ladder. Um, but yeah, this has been a fun season to start the year. This one ran longer than we normally like, but I think this is a really fun episode. It's been a really interesting start to the year. Um,
Yeah,
Following this episode will be an MLB episode with me and Finn. That'll be us basically giving an off-season predictions type episode. Um, it seems like we're just predicting a lot of stuff with the MLB right now, but that's what we're gonna be doing there. And then there will be an NBA episode coming out a week from now, so on the 16th, and we'll discuss. We haven't completely decided the topic, but it will not be a recap. We'll do the
yeah.
recap on the 30th. So that's what you can expect looking forward. And yeah, you have any closing comments?
No, I mean this NBA season is just up for grabs. I feel like with a lot of teams being good to mid, and like just a lot of teams not good to mid, but a lot of teams being able to compete with each other this year. So we're gonna see a lot of fun games, a lot of interesting teams in the playoffs. I think, uh, and a lot of interesting names being brought up just throughout the season.
Yep.
But yeah,
Yeah, so that'll wrap this one up. Yeah, we'll see you guys. Sheldon will see you in a week from now, and I will see you guys in about 4 days.